How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good week. We have the newest episode of Last Dance we'll talk about, and we got a BC legend in the house today. So let's get right to it. This is the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. It's Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I am joined by my good friend, James.
Hello.
Producer, John.
Yo.
And we have a special treat today. We are joined by Dennis Clifford, former BC Eagles center and current G League. How's everything going, Dennis?
Good, man. Hanging in there. How about you guys?
Doing well. Best we can. Dennis played 4 years at BC. He went overseas 5 years. Oh, yeah, that's right. You had your red shirt. Yeah, year, right? And then he went to Europe and played. He's currently in the G League. So it's great to have you on, Dennis. It's really cool. And he's a local guy.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, man.
So the first thing that we wanted to talk about is basically your time at BC. You spent, as you said, 5 years there. And personally, I'm a big BC fan, so I got to see you play. And actually, your freshman year was the first year I went my first in-person BC game. I remember watching you guys play. Can you just talk a little bit about your time at BC and your career there?
Sure. Yeah. So it was a tough road, man. Definitely a tough journey. When you dream about going to college basketball, my career surely is not what comes up, It's tough because, you go in there with certain aspirations and certain visions of what's going to happen. And, everybody knows, college kind of it, catches up to you and it, hits you in the face sometimes, you know what I mean, with a lot of experiences. And that's definitely what I went through. I had a pretty good freshman year, and then I got hurt, and that seemed to be the theme of my college career is just trying to get back from that individually, you know what I mean? So yeah. A big part of my college career was literally just trying to prove to myself that I could get healthy again. And that is I could talk about an hour about that, just the steps that I had to take, on and off the court, mentally, physically, just because, the injury got bad to where it was doctors would tell me I would never play again, and that was a crazy thing to hear as a kid, you know what I mean?
Right.
Back then it was I had no experiences like it before that to really prepare me, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden playing in the ACC, I've seen some individual success, and then I just get hit with that, you know what I mean? That avalanche of just negative shit,
Yeah.
So my whole sophomore year and junior year, I dealt with that. And it was literally there were huge spans of time where I didn't see any light. I literally didn't see – I wouldn't go a day with my knee feeling good, you know what I mean? But I started seeing a trainer off campus, this guy named Hank DeGrew, and he saved my life. And that's what I tell everybody. Everybody I tell about my injury, I make sure I mention him because it was literally it was almost I had no one there in my corner until he came. And he got me feeling physically better, and that what it did for me mentally, spiritually, everything, it completely shifted my life. It was almost I got back on track just because of that one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome to find. Especially, how did you meet this guy? Because you said he was off campus. Was he through the school?
So my assistant basketball coach at Milton Academy, a guy named Coach Green, he got me. He played football at URI, so he's a big dude, and he knows what it's like being injured and stuff. So he actually reached out to me one day. He was like, "Dude, all right, it's been long enough. We got to go see this dude." And I was kind of skeptical, because you already have medical professionals telling you A, B, and C. So I'm just dude, I was depressed, bro. I was just there's no hope for me. You know what I mean? I was dude, I they're telling me I'm never going to get better. So what is the point? And I went to this dude, and it was like, one of the things he said to me that was crazy is like, he was like, what is your problem? And I started regurgitating the shit that I heard from other people. And he was like, no, I mean, what, like, do you feel is your problem? So then I just started telling him, like, what I feel like physically. And he starts, like, working on me, doing these weird exercises, bro. He works out a wall fam. And I'm just like, dude, I feel better, like, right away that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this, like, it was kind of like an overuse type thing where my mechanics got so bad that, like, there was no, like, circulation in my knee. There was nothing, like, going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when that happens, your body just atrophies, and it's just, like, just bad shit. Like, I couldn't even sit down, like, without using my hands, without, like, guidance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrible, dude. Like, going to class, like, dude, taking a shit. Like, it's just, like, simple things, you know?
Yeah.
And so, dude, like, I saw that transition right away, and I was like, dang, dude. So I started seeing him, like, 4 times a week. I did whatever he told me to do, and it worked. And that was like, dude, that was huge for me, because it's funny, like, us athletes, like, a lot of our psychology is built around being athletic. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like how I was raised, you know? I was always playing sports, not just basketball. And that's how I created my own personal image. So, like, when that was just taken away from me in college, like, on a college campus, that was fucking tough, bro.
Yeah. And especially being a college athlete, that's like, especially at that high of a level, that's pretty much I know school is like the main focus,
Yeah, dude.
But people don't realize how big of a, like part of your time is playing a college sport. I played a D3 college sport, and it wasn't anything close to what I imagine that you got, like, being a Division I basketball player.
I still have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, it's like, it's so much. It's practicing 6 to 7 days a week, even though you're not supposed to practice 7 days a week. You're still doing team stuff on the 7th day. You're doing practices. You got team lifts. You got games. You got, like, it's a lot of stuff that you got to do, and on top of your schoolwork that you got to do. So a lot of people don't realize the, like, commitment level, and that was just at a D3 program. D1 is 10 times more stress and kind
stress
of, like,
is stress, though,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I remember, because you were a fun person. You always had that fun personality watching play, and that's like, I think a lot of people would be, like, surprised to hear, like, see that, because I know injuries suck either way, but like especially for you who had, like, that fun personality, it's for me anyways, it's, you know, I feel you, because you're that fun guy, and to watch, you know what I mean? And
I try to be shit.
Yeah. But when you played, now, not to change subject too much, but when you played, as you said, you played in the ACC, do you have any guys that you remember playing against that, like, they were, like, stud, they could be in the league now or not in the league, like, different guys, like, the best players you played against?
While I was in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first ACC road game was at UNC. So that was Tyler Zeller, Harrison Barnes, and John Henson.
Oh, wow.
And that was, like, yeah, dude, that was the year where, like, they could have all got drafted the year before, but they wanted to come back and, like, win a championship. And they didn't do that, but, like, they were a force that year. That was crazy. Those were some dudes. And then the dudes at NC States were always dogs. And I ended up playing with Scott Wood when I was the first in the G League. But, man, I played against all the dudes from Duke, like, you know, throughout those 5 years. Played against all the Plumlees. Like, it felt like I was there forever. You know what I mean? Jaleel Okafor. But, yeah, a lot of dudes in the ACC.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in the G League, too, which was funny. Like, even this past month, I saw a lot of people in the G League. that I recognize from the ACC.
Yeah, I like BC. You know, it doesn't get some of the respect it usually should get. It should get as a program, but you guys play some tough teams. Like you play like the Dukes, the UNCs of the world. Like those are national championship games, and you played against some of the like top draft pick guys, especially as a big like Jaleel Okafor. You probably had to guard him, and he was a beast in college, and
he was nasty.
So, is there one, like I know you mentioned a couple, what would you say is the best guy you ever played against? Toughest guy you ever had to guard, or best player you ever played against?
In the ACC, like Jaleel Okafor stands out for sure. I was hurt when we played against Jabari Parker. Who else? There was some other studs, but like Jaleel, like in college, like, man, he was really good because even as a freshman, he could do everything. Like in the post, he could do everything. And he always had multiple counters, and he was big and strong. Like he was definitely a force.
Yeah, I remember watching him in college, and he was just a stud. Yeah. Like I hope he gets like a second, like more of a chance in the league, because he was a stud watching him play.
He's an old-fashioned big, which is kind of dying down in the league right now. But man, when he was in college, that was like the perfect fit for him. You know?
Yeah.
Most college bigs only have like 2 moves. You know what I mean? Even the great ones, and he had about 10, just like comfortable. Guard.
So, and then after BC, you went to the G League, right? You went into the G League. Can you talk about like that jump that you made from like last year in college to when you played in the G League?
It was dude, part of it was like really refreshing, you know what I mean? Because it was like a clean slate, you know. I was like, dang, like when I think of college, like I think of my injury and I think of losing, you know what I mean? And that, like, those 2 things really just put a like sour on your memory. So it's like when I got out of there, I was like, all right, like this is my chance to kind of try to recreate my brand and just have fun playing the game. That's why I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go out to California. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like get away, try to recreate this little journey that I have. Because, dude, I was waiting the whole summer out of college. I was waiting the whole entire time. I signed an agent, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm asking him for NBA workouts, you know. I'm like, yo, let me get in there and let me try something. And he's like doing the regular agent stuff. And I could talk about that forever. Like, agents in this game are tough, bro. Like, you have to kind of learn how to play the game yourself, you know, because the agents will tell you a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I'm hearing this great feedback. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm about to go to the league, you know what I mean? And it doesn't happen. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like super upset, you know what I mean? You don't know how to handle that. But I ended up going out to Santa Cruz. My agent told me that, you know, I had a spot on the team. And when I got there, this dude interviews me, and he's like, how does it feel to be one of the tryout players? He's like, there's only 1 spot left on the team or something. He said something like that to me, and I was just like, I looked around like, yo, what? I was like, bro, I have to fucking try out. I just like moved all my shit out here, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I just told everybody in Bridgewater, like at BC, that I was going to play for this team. So I'm like, I got to try out. And the first practice, we had like 6 centers. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, I got to like really do this. But it was the right push for me, man. Like, that put my back against the wall, and I had to really claw my way out of it. And I had a great experience with Santa Cruz, man. That was one of my favorite years playing basketball. Like, good people, just like a great atmosphere, great play style for me. You know, I ended up being an all-star, like, just like a whole bunch of moving parts, like, just like with any team, but it was kind of like, it was almost like built for me in a sense, you know?
Yeah. And that was also that's the G League team for the Warriors, right? So that was around that Warriors push where they were winning. I think I think it was right at the beginning of their championship run, I believe.
It was
right around or the first or second year in.
Yeah.
Because I remember looking at that team. I heard you went out and played there, and I remember looking at that team because they didn't have any center, like pretty much. They had probably like one or two.
They had JaVale McGee, and then they had Damian Jones, who's on the Atlanta Hawks right now.
Yeah.
And Damian, like, they drafted him, so I knew I wasn't gonna beat him out. Like, you'll never really beat out a draft pick because they already put money into it, you know.
Right.
But like, yeah, as soon as they started winning like that, I was like, damn, I have no chance. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy how the G League thing works because it's like, if you're in a very good organization, you probably won't move up because they have all their pieces in place. You know what I mean? But if you go like the Warriors this year, they were struggling and all their G League guys moved up. You know, like I think 4 or 5 of them got time in the NBA, you know?
Oh,
so it's kind of like a weird balance, like what you're looking for.
Right. And with that, playing for that team, did you get a chance to play with any of those guys up? Like, I don't know how that works if you get to, like, inter squad, like not inter squad scrimmage, but do you get a chance to play against some of those guys that is with the big team, like the big club?
Not really. So a lot of the times, like right now, I could get invited to a vet camp and then like sign a G League contract. So if I was looking for that right now, I would like sign with, say, the Warriors, and I would put it in my contract, like, I'll play for the G League team, but you have to bring me to the preseason vet camp. And so that's how kind of like, I would say for each G League team, there's like 2 to 3 guys that say that, along with the 2-way contracts.
Okay.
So, but that didn't happen for me because I had to try out for the G League team. It wasn't even like I was on that level, you know what I mean? But like the top like 4 guys, they'll get to go to vet camp, play with those dudes up in the league. Besides that, you only play with the guys that get sent down. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that year, they sent Pat McCaw down a couple times. So like I got to play with him, and that was like, he's a super good wing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I remember liking playing with him, you know, because he knows he's got a great feel for the game. Like, got a lot of open dunks with him.
Yeah. That's kind of like you said Pat McCaw was really, like, he's a stud. He's really athletic and he's smart. Is that one of the best teammates you ever played with, or smartest team? Like one of the like
what are you asking? Like my favorite teammate, or
yeah,
the
like
best basketball player teammate?
Best. How about both? Let's hear both. Like
best basketball shit. I got.
Like smartest, any way that you define like best team, like best at like the game, that you were like, man, this kid's on like a different level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's weird. Like a few players come to mind. Like Olivier, when I was playing at BC, he was one of the most talented, and like he was hungry. You know, he really attacks his shit. You know, and he was getting double teamed in the ACC and still figuring out how to get 25. You know, that was special. Jerome was special. Like I saw Jerome when he was a freshman, though. You know, so I could still tell that he needed a lot to grow, but Jerome was one of the best basketball minds that I saw, even out of young kid. Like, man, I was like 24 on that team when Jerome was like probably 18 or something, you know? Mm-hmm. But I was surprised by like his feel for the game and stuff. And then like over in Europe, I played with Peyton Siva.
Okay.
Him and the dude, Luke Sigma, they're like some of my favorite teammates.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's interesting. You brought up Europe. We were going to just go to that next. You were talking about it before we got on the show about like your time in Europe and how great it was. And a lot of people don't know about Europe in basketball. They just know a lot of college players go and play over there. Can you talk about that, your experience in Europe? And
yeah, for sure, man. So, dude, I had that good year in the G League, and then so now like now my trainers and the people in my corner are like, all right, now it's time to go, make some real money, because like I was still poor, it was like crazy, dude. I got paid like it was $20,000 before tax for the year. So I'm like, dude, I can't even rent an apartment right now. I can't even do anything. Can't even pay my trainers. Like, so I go to Europe, which was a good decision anyway. It's like, but I landed so I signed with this team in Germany, and I have no idea. Like, I can't even point to Germany on a map. You know what I mean? And that's what's like so cool about the experience is like, I landed in Germany my first day. They, everybody speaks English in Berlin, which is like the first thing I learned, and it saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, I landed, the dude gave me a car, and he was like, yo, you need to go, like, I landed a day late. So he's like, you need to catch up. You need to go to the hospital, get your physical done. Then you need to go to the basketball office, sign some paperwork, and then go to your apartment and stuff. So he plugs in the addresses into my GPS in my car, and I just drive through the city, my first day just alone. My cell phone didn't work. I was late for like literally every meeting. It was a crazy shit show, man. But like, it was one of the coolest days of my life because I was just looking around like, damn, dude, like I'm in Germany right now. You know what I mean? Like, never been abroad. Just like, not a lot of dudes get to do that, But there's good basketball over there. That's what a lot of people get messed up is like, for an American that was in the ACC, like if I wasn't an all-star in the G League, I would have had to start like in a second league in Germany or something like that. You know what I mean? Just like, and they don't even respect the ACC. Like, they don't care. Like, you have to go over there and really prove yourself. So even when I had a great year, I went to Germany and I was in the first league, and that's like real, And then I played the European competition. So like most countries will have a domestic league, and they'll play that once a week. And then the top teams in every country will either play EuroLeague, which is the best of the best. My team played Euro Cup, which is like EuroLeague is top 20 teams in Europe. Okay. Crazy good, like very close to the NBA. And then Euro Cup is the next like 64 after that. And you get grouped. So I ended up with like a group, like I would go play a team from Lithuania, really good. Then I would go to like Russia the next week. We would play in Russia. We would play in Spain. We played in France, Italy, like, and it's cool because you just get to travel to all these places and see them firsthand. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was crazy, dude, because I went from not even knowing anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
But man, like so many memories over there because Berlin is one of my favorite cities for sure.
And is that where you said you played in Germany? So that was like where you spent most of your time in Europe, in that area. What are some of the greatest memories that you had from that time?
In Germany?
Yeah.
So many things, man. Going to the club, going out to eat for sure. Like that's like very ironic, but like also like I love that shit. And it's crazy doing it in an international city like Berlin. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Dude, it's so funny because like everybody jokes about it, but like I could run down the whole food thing in Berlin. Like, there's so much like good ass Italian food, Asian food, really good. Like the steakhouses over there, super good. Like, it's just a super cool city, and like, they love their beer, so it was like that'll enhance a lot of experiences, man. But dude, like my team was so cool that like after practice one day, like we would go get a couple beers and do like an escape room. You know what I mean? Like we were doing a lot of activities just like with the team, not even like because we had to, it was just like fun, man. So Berlin, everything was fun. And it was like the first time in my life that I had money where I could do anything I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
The clubs out there were really cool too.
Did people like, I don't know how big basketball is in that area. Like, did people in Berlin and that area like recognize like, hey, these guys play for Germany, like this is our basketball team. You know what I mean? Like it would
So
be here with the NBA.
Berlin is very like large and spread out too, but it's like, I mean, it's got a similar feel to Boston. You know, it's up north, so it's kind of colder, but they do like their sports, but also like Berlin is definitely like a cluster of like everything. So that's what I tell people is like, it doesn't matter how weird or different you are. Like if you went to Berlin, there would be so many people like you. And it was like, you would be accepted by somebody. You know what I mean? There are like dozens of techno clubs, dozens of hip hop clubs. Like there's literally so much of everything. You know what I mean? And that was what's cool is like everybody is like, it's super artsy too over there. So like everybody was doing their own thing, but fans, we still got, I would say we got 10,000 fans per game. And our stadium was like, it seated like 17,000 or something.
So that's pretty packed. That's like
so for some of the important like playoff games, that thing would be packed. But like sometimes, you know, we play a game on Wednesday, only like 6,000 people would be there. You know what I mean? Which
that's
is still good.
Yeah, that kind of venue, that's pretty awesome to play in front of 6,000. And the competition, like you said, like people don't realize how good Europe ball is. So you're playing against, they may not be at the NBA level, but some of them are like just guys trying to find their spot and get playing again. And then because we've seen a ton of guys, especially in recent years, come over from the Europe League. So it's definitely
I mean, last year when I was in Germany I played against Derek Williams.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was drafted like top 10 a couple years ago. But the competition's real, and like the fans, they like the people that are there love it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if there's not like hockey is bigger over there. Hockey gets more fans than us, but the people that love basketball freaking love that shit. It's crazy.
Especially I'm happy that it's starting to grow in popularity because I know like, ask people 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, like Europe wasn't that big, basketball wasn't. But now basketball starting to spread worldwide, which is awesome to see.
Sure. Well, now like basketball has been big, but not like the traditional American basketball, you know? And that's like another thing that I tell people is like, it's kind of a different sport, which like sometimes can be tough, but it's like, you know, they have their own cultures over there, you know what I mean? And Serbian basketball is different from German basketball, you know? And that's
how
different.
So? How would you say it's different? Like
it kind of like reflects the culture, and a lot of the things reflect their culture. Like German basketball is way more stern, you know, because Germans are stern. Like Germans would rather be like robotic, not in a bad way, but like they like doing their shit like this, you know what I mean? So it's like every day, if you do this, you get this outcome. So like input, output. And that's kind of what they like, you know? They like that in like a lot of facets of life. But I had a Spanish coach in Germany. In Spanish, like Spanish people, it's warm there, you know what I mean? It's very smooth. Like they like being suave, stuff like that. So we had a lot of that in our offense, you know? And a lot of cool things we did on defense that was just like kind of more Spanish, you know? It's kind of hard to explain, but I think you get it.
Yeah. Yeah, the style, you mean like the style of play and like different, like it's
Russian basketball, bro, they'll have 4 dudes on their team that are 7'3", just the biggest dudes ever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like Russian dudes, like the Russian games are like fist fights. You know what I mean? It's like shit, you know? Serbians are like kind of in the middle of that. Like Serbian basketball is very good. Like if you watch the FIBA World Cup basketball, like Serbia is always at the top. You know, they got Jokic now. Like they're actually huge. Boban. So their style is like, they're very talented. Like those dudes just skill train from day one, you know, all day. And that's like, you'll see it. And it's crazy. Like, I got a bunch of stories about Serbia. We played over there a couple times, but they're super into basketball, man, because it's kind of like, I know a couple Serbians, and they said it's like, if you grow up in Serbia, it's kind of the slums, and it's like, to make it out of there, you have to be like a legend at a sport. So they take their sports seriously, man. We played over there 2 years ago, and to start the game, they don't play warm-up music. They chant, like, in the crowd. So it's like 10,000 people, all goons, like, all wearing the same. So Serbian gangsters will have the like, 90s Adidas tracksuit. And they'll wear, Reebok Classics.
Yep.
So they'll all look like that. And it's like they're all smoking cigarettes inside the stadium. And it's just so this big-ass stadium filled with smoke. And they're just chanting like crazy. Sounds like Gregorian chants. Like, it's like some crazy shit. You're just looking around like, yo, am I about to get murked up in here? You know what I mean? Like, so, like, they're doing that before the game, but, like, we end up getting up by, like, 20. The ref calls a bad call, and they started throwing shit on the court. And so we got to go to our bench and stuff. And the benches, most countries will have the bench, and it will have a plexiglass cover. It's like a little mini dugout, and you'll just hear tick, 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 tick. People throwing shit at you, man, like the whole game. Just like they'll get mad as shit, start throwing lighters onto the court, everything, quarters. Yeah, dude. It was, but I was in there like, damn, this is cool as hell. Like, crazy, dude.
It's a total different experience. Like imagine doing that in an NBA game here. You'd be thrown out so fast.
But that's what's cool. Like, and I mean, dude, I heard, some of the top teams in Turkey, it's like, yo, you don't go in there and win. Like, you do not. You know what I mean? They'll be rocking your bus outside of the stadium, breaking the glasses and shit, attacking you, dude. Crazy, God, bro.
That's nuts.
Yeah, dude.
So it was with talking about how they play. So Russia's basically like 80s NBA basketball. You go up, you're going to get slammed to the ground every time.
It's definitely a lot of that. It's physical, man. There's a lot, but like a lot of European basketball is physical in a different way than American basketball,
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but there's more – it's like it's more physically imposing, but there's less athletes that are jumping and stuff like that. It's more just like hand grabbing, like almost wrestling.
The hand checks kind of – that kind of stuff.
A lot of that stuff.
You probably got the brunt of it being a post because they would just do nothing but hammer you every time you went on the post. That would be
and I'm a tall guy too, so it's like in Europe I'll face a lot of centers that are like 6'9", just like strong as hell, got crazy like old guy strength or something. But the dudes are good, man. Seriously, very skilled over there.
And how long did you play there for? 2 years, like 2 or 3 years?
2 years.
2 years. And then what brought you back over here? You got
So this is a funny story. Like I had a pretty good success in Germany, and I'm like, yo, I want to get paid more. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to see like, what other people make and stuff. So I'm like, yo, I want that, and if whatever I was valued at, if you go to a worse country, you'll get, your value plus 50K. And that's usually how it works is like, if you go, if you're a stud and you go to the Philippines, like it's usually because you're getting paid way more than what your value is. You know what I mean? So I end up doing that, and I go to Bosnia at the beginning of this season. And I'm like, and I heard a lot of horror stories about it, but I knew the coach. I was talking to him over the summer, and he's kind of like a legendary coach over in Europe. Like he's won some European competitions, and like that's big over there. So they hired, like this team in Bosnia hired this coach to bring, and he brought me in, and he was like, yo, we want to change the way people look at this club, And I'm like, sounded good. They paid me way more than I was worth at the time. So I'm like, yes, sir, let's go. And then, like, dude, it was just a shit show. Everything was bad, man. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on, dude? I wouldn't go do that for $1 million right now. That's how bad it was. It's
like what is, like, when you say bad, you mean the basketball was bad, the organization was bad?
Well, I'll get into that. But the basketball side, like, the first month I was there, my coach had a stroke.
Wow.
So the coach, so the coach that I basically set everything up with had a stroke, dude, and he was having health problems. He's much better right now. But I'm just like, he was out of the picture. And so, like, in a country like that, once the guy that likes you is gone, it's like you have nobody else. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? So, like, everything basketball-wise was just, like, terrible. I didn't have a real point guard. So, for me, being a center, it's not like I can do much if somebody's not setting me up, you know? Mm-hmm. And I know that about myself. But, yo, you want to hear some horror stories, bro? So, you know, it's like a 10-hour flight over there. And I land in Croatia because Bosnia doesn't even have a fucking airport. And we take a 2.5, 3 hour ride. Like, the club representative picks me up, and we drive 3 hours into Bosnia. And I'm just like, I'm passing like just big ass like arid fields and houses that don't have roofs, like houses that like there's no chance somebody lives in there. You know what I mean? I'm like thinking to myself like, and I'm running through like literally like what you would imagine as like old European villages that are just like, I'm like, what is going on here, bro? You know what I mean? I'm like, is this where I'm going to live? So I basically get to like one minor step above a village. And there's like one apartment building and I live in that apartment building. But there's like 3 restaurants in the whole fucking town. And so I get there at like 12 o'clock at night. Dude drops me off, gives me the key, says my apartment's up there. So I go up there and I walk into my apartment and there's dirty dishes in the sink and shit. Like, it's like dirty everywhere. And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? I got a dusty ass, old ass couch, and then my bed doesn't have sheets on it. And I'm just like, yo, like, I almost had a fucking panic attack, dog, because I was like, bro, like, you don't want to be the person that complains when you get there. You know what I'm saying? It's right. Like, if somebody hires you for a job and you go in there the first day, like, this isn't right, this isn't, like, you don't want to be that guy. So I'm just, like, sitting there, like, what the fuck do I do, bro? Like, the dude ended up dropping off one blanket and one pillow. And I was like, what? Like, there's nothing on my bed, bro. It's like an old-ass, ugly-ass mattress. So I slept on the couch, like, while I was there. And then, like, a week later, I was able to, like, I had to drive an hour to the mall and, like, get all this shit for myself, you know? But, dude, like, my kitchen was dirty as shit. It was, like, old stuff in the fridge, bro. It was just, like, that was, like, what it was like being over there, you know?
Yeah.
And in Germany, bro, when you land, everything is set up. You know, I told you, they gave me a nice brand new car right when I got there. Like, they had me set up for a cell phone. And my apartment was beautiful, bro. It was like, my place in Berlin was kind of like living on Newbury Street.
Oh,
like,
wow.
It was where everything was going on, and it was like a nice apartment, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I knew I wasn't going to expect that, but I was like, dude, like, what? It was like, bro, it was like getting set up like on the outskirts of Brockton, like in a fucking crazy ass house, dude. I was like, no way.
I thought you were going to say someone was going to walk in because, like, there was dirty dishes. There was, like, it looked like someone just moved out.
Dude, no, somebody should have walked in and fucking taken care of that shit. I was like, yo, what is going on? But, yeah, like, that was a tough experience, just being out there alone, just like, all right, man. And then, like, if the basketball is not successful, everything just, like, gets worse and worse. So
right.
After 3 months, dude, I was like, yo, I can't do it. I'm out. So then I came back here. I was chilling at home for a little bit. Like, they did pay me on time, though. Like, a lot of European teams, especially, like, in that situation, they won't pay you. Like, like, no, go fuck yourself. Like, they're kind of run by the mob anyways. Like, it's not, like –
Really?
Some of the sketchy countries, for sure, just, like – but I was fortunate enough to get paid on time. Like, they were super cool about that. Like, and I'm still cool with, like, a lot of people in the club. Like, I still like the GM, you know what I mean? It was just, there was a lot of things out of my control. So
right.
Came back, and then one day I started thinking about the G League, and I have a connection with the 76ers. One of their coaches coached me when I was at – one of the Sixers coaches coached me in Santa Cruz. He was like, dude, if you're looking for a job, like, just come down here for the rest of the G League season, you know? And they had a spot for me, and that was super cool. Let me get my shirt.
So you're saying you had your connection, the coach with Santa Cruz was he working with the 76ers big league or?
Yeah, so he's on the Sixers staff. And so, like, you know, he knew all the G League guys and stuff like that. And so that connection was made, and I was just like, all right, let's do it. And then I was only there for like 2 weeks before everything got shut down because of COVID.
So tell me about that. Like, that must have been a crazy – I can't imagine, like, some of the – like, that first night when that Thunder game got shut down, that must have been nuts. Did you have a similar experience to that? Were you, like, getting ready to play or –
No, dude, because they already shut us down.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I forget the timeline, but, like, our games aren't as important as the NBA game. It's not like, you know, NBA games are like freaking concerts. You can't really shut that down without a lot of backlash. So I knew it was probably like 2 or 3 days before, and we didn't have any games, but, like, they shut down practice on like a Thursday. And then by Friday, they knew, like, yo, we're probably going home, you know? Yeah. And then we had to stay in-house before they figured out basically how they're going to get rid of us without probably being liable. So then, like, by Monday, we had flights. Wow. And it kind of happened just like that. It was weird because it was like, you know, 1 minute you're a team, and then, like, then they're telling you to stay in your rooms and don't do anything. And I'm just like, I'm in Delaware, dude. I'm like, what? Like, it's not a lot of options, bro. Like, and then, yeah, dude, I stayed the weekend there. I was super bored, and then they just, like, they had us leave.
Wow. And have you heard anything since? Like, are they
trying? I had my exit meeting on Zoom. Like, I had my exit meeting with the GMs, the coach, and the like, director of player development, which is, like, super cool. The NBA is now doing a lot more stuff for the athletes off the court. So, like, a lot of teams, they'll have a bunch of guys just doing player development, which is, like, he just sent me some books, you know what I mean? If I need to talk to him about literally anything, I hit him up, you know what I mean? And that's, like, super cool because they didn't have that last time I was in the G League.
That's really cool. Like, so just like that outlet to have when all this is going on.
Dude, I could hit him up and I could be like, I want to take a math course. And they would set me up with, like, a online, like, official math course that's, like, for free, you know? Just like they have all these resources now for the guys. That super cool. I think it's going to be a big problem for the NCAA.
Yeah. Yeah, that, especially like we kind of talked about it when your time in school, I've talked about it on the podcast too. It just the NCAA, it's like that's a whole other hour discussion right there. But if you can go to the G League or go to play for an NBA team right out the bat, and then you can get those classes just part of it, it's like that's going to be.
Dude, the one I don't want to get into a conspiracy here, but, like, the one thing I'll say is, like, at BC, one of the big problems was, like, getting the money from the school to build a new arena or, like, attract recruits, like, get all those things. And it was like, dude, the NBA has limitless resources, you know? And they're starting to do that for the G League, but also, like, if you're a guy that's like choosing between the two, like if you have the opportunity to go to the NBA, like you would do that 10 out of 10 times. Like there's literally no circumstance, you know what I mean? You're already getting paid, but like the level of expertise in the NBA is unparalleled. It's crazy. Like I've been around those guys, and it's like it's a reason why it's the NBA. You know what I mean? It's the reason why like the money in the NBA is so much higher than everything else. It's because they have the best minds working together. You know?
Right. What's your conspiracy theory? You can't get you're leaving us on a cliffhanger. You said I don't
like I mean, just that thing about the NCAA. You know what I mean? It's like you're always fighting against the money and power structures, just like anything else. Right. Nothing crazy. I didn't get kidnapped.
I was curious. I wanted to hear, but I had a GA as a coach for my old team, and just learning just looking at recruiting stuff. The NCAA has all these rules that are like, oh yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just not even like, the obvious ones that everyone knows that you can't offer money, you can't offer this, you can't offer that. Just like little things of like, you can't talk to this person before this date, and you can't they have to talk to you.
Yeah, like texting rules. There's rules like, I mean, even when I was on scholarship, like I couldn't get a ride from a coach. The coaches couldn't buy us a meal. They couldn't buy us snacks. They couldn't.
Which is ridiculous. It's like, it's such, and not like that coaches, like, I'm not saying coaches should be doing that, but like, you could ask any college coach or any coach period, if they want to help buy something for an athlete, especially a college athlete who has no time, like we said, to get a job. Seriously. Like they can't afford money. It's not like, I think people.
No, but you know what happens? Like the crazy thing about food is like what happened at BC was we would drink like 5 protein shakes instead of eating. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you have a weird workout hour and you can't go like to the dining hall or whatever, or you run out of money in there, like you're just drinking protein shakes. Cause like under the NCAA rules, like they can give you protein shakes and they can give you Powerades. So I just remember downing like 100 of those, dude. It's just like terrible, bro.
Well, that's pretty crazy to hear. Like I can't imagine when it went through, like when this all broke out. Like you must be like getting ready. You're in mid-season, and all of a sudden, like, all right, you guys are going home, and have you heard anything? Like, are they going to try to save the season? Have they pretty much just said this season's done? Or
not for the G League. It's cool though. They gave us the rest of our salaries.
Oh, that's really cool.
And and I mean, it's not a lot, but like shit, that's helping out for sure. Right. But the European leagues are really taking a hit. It's crazy because this thing just like really bringing out a lot of truths about like how we do business all across the board, because the European teams are like going under because they budget month to month. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of, even like American companies are going down because they run on that month to month check, and it's like they don't have anything in the tank for this type of like crazy, man. And that like you would expect that out of individuals and stuff like that, but it's like there's a lot of companies that are getting bailed out now too.
It's nuts, and I don't know. We don't know with like when this is all going to be over, or if they're going to try to. Have you heard anything about the NBA season? I know you probably haven't talked to many people in the last couple about that, but
I mean, I don't have like any inside scoops. I'm not high enough to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think they're going to play? Do you think they're going to try to finish the season, or do you think that, out of your personal opinion of what's going on?
All I know is that the European leagues, like, because they're so pressured for money, they are trying to get people back. Mm-hmm. So they're talking about, like, I saw this on Twitter. They said, like, they would bring every athlete out in the next 2 weeks. They would quarantine every athlete for 2 weeks. And then they would bring the teams together all in one city in Europe. This is just for the EuroLeague, the top-level colleges. Right. And they would do a little 2-week preseason, and then they would do a 2-week playoff.
Oh,
So I'm like, all right, that's like 8 weeks right there.
right.
And that's like not going to happen. And then, so like, say 8 weeks from now is July, you're going into July, and then it's like they want the players back in August.
Right.
You know, a big thing about Europe is like they wanted me out there August 10th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when I was in Germany, I was there until June 25th. Like, that is a long-ass season. That's 10 and a half months, dude. Like,
that's a grind.
Bro.
That's a grind.
Especially because if you do it 2 years in a row, that means you're gone for 10 months, and then you get a month and a half, and then you're gone for another 10 months. It was like there was a lot of my friends back home. There was a lot of things back home that I wasn't able to do at all during the summer, you know? It's just like, damn, I'm out again, you know?
Right. That's a long – I didn't realize how long the season was.
Hell yeah.
10 months, and then especially like you said, you go back-to-back months. That's like pretty crazy.
For the money, man.
I hear you.
Crazy things, bro.
I hear you.
But
I hope they don't screw it up. Like, I don't want them to screw up next season, though.
Yeah, that's what's like, weird to me.
Because if they go too late, it's going to screw up the starting of the next time, you know?
I know, like, I mean, me personally, I would just chalk this season and then try to make things normal for next season, especially because we're kind of deep in this shit now, bro.
Right.
People have been quarantined for like at least a month. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
Not looking good for any sports coming back. But I mean, I don't know. They know better than me, so we'll see.
We're running out of time for today, but we wanted to ask you, Last Dance, the new docu-series. Have you watched this week's episodes?
Yeah, for sure, man.
What are your thoughts on, because probably growing up, like big guys, I know me playing basketball, I looked at big guys, and that's who I like tried to watch more film on and try to develop around. Dennis Rodman was a big centerpiece of this week. What were your thoughts on that?
Huge asset. I mean, for me personally, like, that's kind of what role I like to play too. You know what I mean? He obviously does it way better, but like that is someone that I've looked up to for a while, just because a lot of the center position is doing just the small, gritty ass things that like, it's like when you do it well, it's priceless for a team. You know what I mean? And it's cool to be recognized for that. So I'm definitely like, I'm super happy for him to be recognized on that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like having games where you got 20 rebounds and 0 points, like that's wild, dude. Like I remember thinking as a kid, like that dude is bad. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. But like the docuseries in general, bro, it's like I played basketball because of Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? And I'm white, which is crazy. Yeah. It's like that just goes to show like the reach that he had, you know what I mean? It's like, especially during the 90s and stuff, like it wasn't like it is now, you know?
Right.
He definitely changed the whole culture of the game and how it's watched, how it's played. Like, so for me, it's like just like all the old photos of him and the footage, like it's just super cool to see him do anything, because we didn't have social media to like, you know, we see LeBron do everything, you know?
Right.
And so, like, LeBron is super cool. He's on that level, but it's like we see it all the time. Like, seeing Jordan is like seeing a unicorn, bro. It's like, dang, like, that dude is super cool, bro.
Once in a lifetime
Seriously.
athlete and basketball player. I just love the dog in those guys, like just gritty, like don't care, bro. Like that. When they talked about Jordan getting knocked down by the Pistons every time he got up, and that's when they were like, man, this kid's the beast. I
like the way like those dudes think.
Yeah. I like that. That was probably my favorite era of basketball, like late 80s, early 90s. That was like, for me, like the prime basketball time frame. But
because it was like before it got like blown up into like all this other shit, you know what I mean? It was like there was nothing pretty. They weren't getting paid as much, you know. It was just like it was just their job, but they did it for the game, and that was like you can kind of tell by watching it.
Right. Well, it's It was really cool having you on. We have one more segment that we normally do. We do people's topics. Do you want to join people right in and tell us their topic? So would you like to jump on for this last segment?
Yeah.
So produce that. I'll set it up first. So let's get to it. This is the people's topic.
The people's topic.
All right, we got a couple people's topics. Producer John, do you want to let us know what those are?
Yes, sir. This is my time to shine. First one we got. This is my favorite one. This is really going to be the one. It comes from.
Save it then. Save it for a second.
Save it. All right.
Save
bro,
it. Go
chill.
best for last.
Actually, it's really the. All right. So one is from @dmess98. All he says is chatter on the bench collab. I think that's in our podcast, so we'll work on that.
Okay.
Second one is from @BigBadChad12 on Instagram. He says, "Hi, Big Red Zone. I have another topic you guys could talk about. What's the best sports video game in your opinion of all time? Could be Madden, could be baseball, anything. What's the best sports video game?"
Oh
That's a
man,
good question.
That's a tough one.
that's a tough one.
Mine's WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007.
That was great.
I love like 2K and Bad, and I love those games. But one of if I had to pick one specific game that was like fun and like was a blast, it was PS2 MLB Slugfest.
I knew you were going to do that.
When you'd you'd catch on fire, you could punch like the person on first and they drop the ball and you could run to the next. It was the most ridiculous
That's
game.
a good answer.
It was so funny. It was. I loved that game.
That's a good answer. James, what you got?
I'm going to have to go with something a little bit outside of this. I'm actually going to go with probably Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Oh, that was.
I think for PlayStation.
That was a big time.
That was such a fun. It was the first one that you could actually design levels yourself too and do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with it. I'm going to have to stick with it.
Wow.
Free skate.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Dennis, what's yours?
Probably NFL Street.
I was thinking that was my
yeah.
other one. I was thinking of that was just like
Man, I put a lot of hours into that.
Wow. To be honest, these bangers of answers.
Yeah, for real. We had good
Yeah.
diversity too. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Wow.
it was all different sports. I was definitely thinking NFL Street. That was definitely
Yeah.
one of the other games. I played those games growing up. Those are like the two I mainly played growing up.
For sure.
Damn, that's so good. That really does it. I think the last one is a spam one. It's like, what is your favorite? What was the last festival you attended? I've never been to a festival.
I haven't either.
Depends on the kind of festival. Like I've been to a few jazz festivals, a few metal festivals, so I'd like.
Those count, I guess.
Does Country
know.
Fest count?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
festival.
well, it's festival. Yeah.
Has the word festival in the name.
Country Fest a couple years ago. Hopefully this year too.
All right. Well, that does it for people's topic. That video game one was a bang.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of us. That was crazy.
That was good.
As always, people's topic is every week. If you have a topic that you want to talk about, write in. Let us know any point of the week. You don't have to wait till the post to go out. Write us anytime you think of something or have a comment for us. Let us know. Well, it was awesome having you on, Dennis. It was
Man.
great hearing. We'll definitely have you on again.
For sure.
Hopefully next time we see you, we'll know a little bit. We'll be out of this mess and maybe you'll be on the next part of your journey.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. For sure.
Is there
You
anything
wanna-
before you go? Yeah, is there anything you want to plug or plug your social media,
in
whatever you got
media or
going on?
anything?
Nah.
Nah.
I hear you. Google them.
I don't care, bro.
Google me. Google me, Chuck. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.